Let's make some lists, starting at the top and going to the bottom, baby. The top and bottom list with Ed and Andy. Let's make some lists, starting at the top and going to the bottom, baby. The top and bottom list with Ed and Andy.
Hey, I'm Lance, and that's
Andy.
Andy. Yeah,
You always say that. Like, you don't know my name? We're working together for 25 years.
I want your name and voice for them to recognize them
I
together.
got you. Because we are an audio medium here.
Yes.
So.
But how was your weekend? We did our Mardi Gras music last week, and we just had Mardi Gras. How was your Mardi Gras?
It was good. I saw you at one of the parades. How many parades did you hit for Mardi Gras? This past weekend only.
Well, they cheated me on Mardi Gras Day. I usually hit, at least 3 or 4.
That's true.
Yeah, but they canceled a bunch of them. But I don't know. I think I saw maybe 14 parades.
All right. I probably saw 3 or 4.
And that's low for me, 14.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I skipped a few. But no, it was a great Mardi Gras. I mean, and you can check out the picture of us on Mardi Gras Day. It is on our Facebook page right now. And I'll probably throw it up into this video somewhere if you're on the
also,
video part.
like Mardi Gras overlapped our theme today, which is the Academy Awards. But before we get into that, I want to say we have a sponsor for our show. We got a lot of listeners out there. Nichols Online. You heard about it?
I heard about Nichols Online.
Yeah, out there looking for an online degree. Nichols Online's for you. Affordable, good price, great faculty, higher education. Nichols Online.
Well, where can I go online to get more information on this?
Nichols.edu/online. Operators are standing by.
Okay. Well, today's Thursday, March 6th, and we're going to get right into our next topic, which are Oscar films. The top 5 films we believe should have won an Oscar but did not, and 3 films that did win an Oscar and we thought maybe shouldn't.
And for Best Picture. And did you watch the Oscars this weekend?
No, I did not. It was Mardi Gras.
Yeah, I think I watched part of the opening monologue and some clips, and that's about it.
Was that Sunday night?
Sunday night, yeah.
Yeah, that's Bacchus.
Conan O'Brien hosted.
That's Bacchus.
Yeah.
I was at Bacchus. And for those who are listeners that aren't from New Orleans, Bacchus is, one of the top 3 big parades that we do have.
Yeah. And this may come up more later on too, but neither one of us, we just talked about this, haven't seen a lot of the Oscar-nominated movies this year. It's about 10 movies nominated. Between us, we saw probably 3 or 4.
Yeah, and and for a while there, they were only nominating 5 movies at a time, and just recently they went to 10. And back in the old days, they had 10. So I believe that the reason why they went from 5 to 10 is simply for marketing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so all these movies say Oscar nominated.
Yeah, because like the top 5 would probably be not ones people go to, so they'll throw in like a Titanic or some movie people went to see that's not going to win, but to get viewers.
There's some weak years there where they're all 10 of them, which we'll get into once we start going through these.
Yeah.
But we both have our favorite films, but best films, like my 3 favorite films ever, are not on my list because I know that they're not the best films.
What are those 3? You have them ready to go?
Oh, mine? Yeah, I always have them ready to go. It's The Blues Brothers, The Muppet Movie, and Monty Python's Holy Grail.
Okay.
I mean, and I would think generally people might think those are good movies, but most people wouldn't rate them as great movies.
No, and I agree. I think like my list is definitely not my top 5 movies of all time, but it's top 5 movies that are Oscar worthy, well-rounded, that didn't win Best Picture.
Yeah, and talking about films that did win Best Picture, some of them won because it was just a weak year. There weren't very, very many good movies, or some of the movies that we think should have won. It's because it was such a strong year that there were so many great movies. There's some years where I did see all the movies, and I would have hated to decide between them.
Yeah, I think
because there's so many good movies.
Yeah, a couple of my top 5 movies were both in the same year, and of course, neither one won because that's why they're on this list.
Yeah, and some of mine that I think should have won Oscars may not even be nominated, but they benefit from hindsight because they became classics later. They might have been blockbuster. Like I didn't put this one in my list, like Willy Wonka. Willy Wonka was a box office flop, but looking back at it, Gene Wilder probably could have been nominated for Best Actor.
It's an iconic role.
The special effects, just the whole movie probably should have been nominated.
Yeah, it's funny. So, we both teach media here at Nicholls State. And, every now and then I'll ask my students what movies they've seen, try to get a gauge of, millennials, Gen Z, Gen X, try to see what movies everybody watched. And Willy Wonka is, the original one, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, is one of the ones that most people have watched. That and like Wizard of Oz, I've seen.
Yeah, and sometimes films did not get nominated or win because of some other reasons. It could be political or things that are going on in the world. And there's one that I think both of us actually nominated, which I'll talk on that when we get there. So, but I chose some of mine, and I teach film. I teach documentaries, and I teach some film classes. And I chose some of mine for what they meant to film as an art form. Some important innovations that came from these films. And with that one, let's get to our top.
All right.
These are the top.
Let's start from the top, from the top, from the top, from the top. Let's start from the top, from the top. Let's start from the top, from the top, from the top, from the top.
All right, we'll start from the top. And my number 5 is Jurassic Park.
All right. I did not see that one coming.
Yeah, and it wasn't even nominated. It was nominated a lot. This was in 1994, and it was nominated for a lot of categories, but not Best Film. And this is back when they did only nominate 5. So maybe if they went to 10, it would have been nominated. But, it went up against Forrest Gump. This is a very strong year.
In 1994?
94. Forrest Gump, Four Weddings and a Funeral, Pulp Fiction, Quiz Show, Shawshank Redemption. I've seen all those. And another one of my favorite movies of all time came out that year, which wasn't nominated for a damn thing, was Clerks, Kevin Smith's film.
Yeah, so definitely it's a strong year. In Jurassic Park, like you said earlier, it was iconic. It was just a special effects I'd never seen before.
Yeah, and like I was just saying before we went to the theme song for this segment, was that I choose some of these because of what they mean to movies. And I believe there's 3 movies that changed the way that movies were made after them. The first one existed before there were even Oscars, and it's a controversial movie, but Birth of a Nation. Birth of a Nation set standards for long films and a lot of angles and music and stars. And the second one is one that we both picked, so we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yep, I know that.
And the third one, and those other 2 are well versed in books. I've read, saying these are 2 books. But this one I think changed things because when Jurassic Park came out, George Lucas, whose Industrial Light and Magic did the special effects of the dinosaurs, when he saw that and saw the work that his Industrial Light and Magic did, he realized that I can make my first 3 Star Wars. Granted, episode 1 was going to come out after this because he saw what they could do. Not that episode 1 was a great movie, but this was the beginning of CGI. And they use CGI in all movies now. It could be just simply a computer in the background or whatever it is. They just small things with CGI now.
I'll tell you what, so this is directed by Steven Spielberg, and, he's kind of an Oscar darling, but there's like 5 of his movies that didn't win Best Picture
Yes.
that could have been. When I won't go through those lists now, but we may hear one
Yeah,
more later on the
and
list.
I agree with you because some of those other ones I would say are a lot better movies than Jurassic Park. I'm simply putting Jurassic Park at my 5th slot because of what it did for CGI. And it led the way to Toy Story. Toy Story is the first completely digital movie ever, and I would have put that as number 6 probably. But anyway, so go ahead. What?
Oh, you got clips or yeah?
Yeah, I do have clips.
All right, yeah.
I have
go ahead and
clips
play
of
your
these,
clip.
and these are just parts of the trailers, and y'all seen part of the clip playing underneath us right now. But here's a clip from Jurassic Park.
The most phenomenal discovery of our time
How'd you do this?
becomes the greatest adventure of all time.
Can I touch it?
Sure.
Universal Pictures presents
You feel that?
Hold on to your butts.
a Steven Spielberg film.
Sensors are failing all over the park.
Yeah, that's nice. Gotta go.
An adventure
I can't get Jurassic Park back online.
65 million years in the making.
And funny enough, so I didn't see your list before today. Today at lunch, I was having a talk with someone about this. I had lunch with Ross DeRocher, and his son is doing a YouTube channel based on Jurassic Park. And
Oh, wow.
I guess there's 6 movies now total.
Yeah, that's a universe now.
Yeah, so he's doing a YouTube channel on that. So check it out.
What? I mean, do you know any more about the YouTube channel? You know what-
Yeah, I think I don't want to say the wrong thing. I think he paints the dinosaurs to the original
Okay.
colors.
Oh, okay. That sounds cool. And then once we find out what the channel's name is, we'll pass it on to y'all
Yeah,
somehow.
pass it on because he didn't start it yet. And you have more
Yeah.
facts too about
No,
this
you know
movie.
what? When I went to see Jurassic Park, it was such an event, and a lot of the previews for it did not show the dinosaurs, at least the big dinosaurs. And I remember sitting in the movie theater, and when you see Laura Dern stand up and look and like go, wow, and then they show the dinosaur, the entire theater just just gasped. I mean, you might look at it nowadays and say, that's not great special effects. But I'm telling you, in the day, that was something we've never seen before. It was just incredible.
I know my number 5 we're going to skip because my number 5 is your number 2.
Yes, and that's that one where another one I was talking about that changed the language of film.
So I guess we'll get back to you again. Let's
Yep,
go.
We're going to my number 4. My number 4 is The Shining with Stanley Kubrick and Jack Nicholson, and it came out in 1980. Yeah, 1980. And I just think it was a good. It's Stanley Kubrick, and Stanley Kubrick, sets these moods and this tone to his movies. And this being a horror movie, drama, and Jack Nicholson, I think, just made this movie.
It's definitely iconic. It's one that you hear a lot about. You see clips from it all the time.
The carpet you see in other movies.
Yeah, and it lost to the 1980 Oscars to Ordinary People, which I never saw, which was probably a good movie.
Well, it wasn't even nominated. For
Yes,
Best
it wasn't
Picture.
nominated that year. But it's funny, I always hear also that year is Raging Bull.
Which is a great movie.
A great movie. And that's the one people always say was overlooked and should have beaten Ordinary People. But we
Yes.
don't have that on our list, by the way.
Coal Miner's Daughter, Elephant Man. I've seen 4 of the 5 movies. I don't think I've ever seen Tess. So it's Ordinary People, Coal Miner's Daughter, Elephant Man, Raging Bull, and Tess were the ones that were nominated.
Yep.
And I think The Shining, just because of the power of that movie and the performances in that movie, and iconic.
Yeah, and we
It's
learned
iconic
today,
now.
because obviously we had to look, make sure what awards these movies won or didn't win.
It did get nominated for some awards. Yeah.
It did, yes. Didn't it get nominated? Or
In 1981 is the first year that the Razzies came out. And if you don't know what Razzies are, that's for bad movies.
the worst movies, yes.
Yes.
The Golden Raspberries.
And they got 2 nominations for Worst Director and Worst Actress. And funny enough, Stanley Kubrick and The Shining lost Worst Director to Xanadu,
And
the
that's-
Olivia
that's
Newton-John
good.
movie.
Like Stanley Kubrick being nominated as Worst Director, that is embarrassing. I mean, like
Yeah.
you said, he should have won Best Director at the Oscars, and instead he's nominated for a Razzie.
Everything he's done has been masterpieces, despite some of his personal things. Even
wonder what
movies
it
I didn't
was.
like.
Like what was the deal back then with The Shining? Did it not get the love that it's getting nowadays? I mean,
No,
was
it didn't. Stephen King panned it. Stephen King did not like it at all. He said it took away from the themes of the book.
What does he
so,
know?
So with him coming out probably saying he didn't like it, it probably hurt it some.
Stephen
and-
King, the author, we'll probably hear his name later on again too.
Yeah, and horror movie buffs thought it was too slow, which is Stanley Kubrick. Stanley
Yes.
Kubrick's movies are drawn out.
It is
They're
slow.
slow, and he builds up things. So I guess it's a taste thing. But I guess as a horror movie enthusiast, don't really like Stanley Kubrick movies. So, but here's a clip, and all of these are clips from trailers. I just pulled them off of trailers, so it's not really clips from the movies.
Mom, do you really want to go and live in that hotel for the winter?
Sure I do. It'll be lots of fun.
The only thing that can get a bit trying up here during the winter is the tremendous sense of isolation.
Is there something bad here?
I fear you will have to deal with this matter in the harshest possible way.
I do that. I killed you and Danny.
You did this to him, didn't you?
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains. Here's Johnny.
Those lines, those iconic lines. Here's Johnny, Red Rum.
And there's probably like several scenes that people know if they never saw the movie or weren't alive when it came out. They probably know those lines. In the final scene when I don't want to give there's no
Yeah.
spoilers, right?
No. Well, this movie's old enough to give spoilers.
Well, the final scene is kind of iconic if you want to watch it or go to YouTube and look at the clip.
But even this movie, even though it didn't do well and didn't even get nominated, because it grew such a cult following, I don't even say it's a cult following, it's a popular following. People love this movie, that they made sequels or whatever just recently, just a few years ago. Ewan McGregor starred in Dr. Sleep, I think it was. And I'm not sure. I think they might be making a remake of The Shining. Yeah. So, but anyway, let's finally get to one of yours.
Yes. So my number 4, why don't you play the clip first? Because I'm curious to hear it. I might get in the mood because the soundtrack to this one is very uplifting.
Yeah, I didn't start from the beginning of the trailer, which this is one of the best soundtracks. That,
yes.
And one day we will do best movie soundtracks.
Let's play a little clip of it. We'll play
There we
this
go.
and see if the audience knows the song, knows the movie.
You know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in Paris?
What do they call it?
Royale with cheese.
Royale with cheese.
You got a corpse in a car, minus the head in a garage. Take me to it. Mother!
Who's Sid?
Sid's dead, baby. Sid's dead.
love you, Pumpkin.
I love you, honey bunny.
Everybody be cool, this is a robbery!
What's Fonzie like?
Cool.
Correctamundo. And that's what we're gonna be. We're gonna be cool.
Yeah.
And I guess all of you out there could recognize that movie based on the dialogue and the soundtrack. It is Pulp Fiction by writer-director Quentin Tarantino. And it was his second movie. The first movie he wrote and directed was Reservoir Dogs.
He also wrote Natural Born Killers.
Yeah, he wrote other movies
Oliver
before,
Stone directed that
before
one.
this. Like he wrote True Romance.
Yeah, True Romance too.
But this is the first one that he directed, or second one he directed after Reservoir Dogs. And it's iconic. I mean, it really, talk about movies that change things. This one changed a lot of movies, being more dialogue driven, talking
Pop
about
culture
pop
references,
culture
yeah.
references. And so he really brought that on, probably too much after that. People trying to copy Tarantino.
And that storytelling technique he used in this is kind of like, it starts in the middle and it comes circular, sort of like what Christopher Nolan does for everything now.
Yep.
But Quentin Tarantino, I'm not saying he's the first that did that, but it's very noticeable, how the movie kind of goes in a circle to tell the story.
Yep. Tarantino's one of those directors that I'd go watch all his movies when it comes out. I really like his movies, and this probably is not my favorite one. It's definitely up there.
Yeah, and it might be my favorite one just because I've seen it so many times. When it came out, we were at that age.
Yeah, exactly.
Where we're seeing a lot of movies.
I was graduating from college at this point, and it was cool. It was nominated for 7 Academy Awards. It won Best Screenplay, but we mentioned before, 1994. So it lost out to Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad movie. Right?
No, it's not. It's not a bad movie.
All right.
I'm not gonna say it's a bad movie. I liked all the movies that are on this list. I saw and I liked them all. It's Forrest Gump, 4 Weddings and a Funeral, Pulp Fiction,
Yep.
Quiz Show, which I show parts of that in my class, and The Shawshank Redemption, which maybe should have won that year because that movie's incredible.
That movie's incredible. But yeah, Pulp Fiction. As far as iconic, changing things, Quentin Tarantino, it probably should have won Best Picture. Sorry, Forrest Gump.
Yeah, I do think Pulp Fiction, and it relaunched careers of these stars. John Travolta and Bruce Willis. I mean, I don't know if Bruce Willis was falling on hard times, but John Travolta, his career was resurrected with this.
Yeah, definitely. Tarantino definitely has a way to bring back actors and put them in iconic roles. And also, probably, the clip you showed, the trailer, is probably the only 30 seconds you can get without a curse word in it.
Yeah, without Sam Jackson, saying, say what again?
A lot of curse words in that movie.
And it's very quotable, just like the first movie we were talking about, just like The Shining, but this one's even more quotable. I mean,
Exactly.
Just people throwing it out there, they already know what movie it's from.
Royale with cheese.
Okay, so since I kind of direct this podcast, we're going to my number 3. And my number 3, I chose 2 films.
I see that.
Yes, I did, because I think both of these should have won Best Picture. And the reason why I put them together at number 3 is because one of them is about the person who made the other film.
Ed Wood.
Not Ed Wood, but that's a good one. That's a good movie.
guess,
That's
yeah.
one of my favorite movies too,
Yeah.
Ed Wood. But anyway, no, it's Chaplin, Charlie Chaplin. First off, I want to talk about Chaplin, which is Robert Downey Jr. was in 1992, and he was nominated for Best. This is back when he was really on all the drugs and stuff, before he hit rock bottom and came back as Iron Man and all that stuff. But Robert Downey Jr. is incredible as Charlie Chaplin in this, and I think he should have won. I think it's his best performance ever. You should check it out. Better
Do you know
than
who
Oppenheimer.
won, by the way, against him? I'm not putting you on the spot. Sorry.
No, I don't know who
But
won.
all right, who won the movie? What movie won beat Chaplin?
Well, what movie beat Chaplin? Chaplin wasn't even nominated for Best Film. So
That's
Unforgiven won. And actually, I saw all these movies too. And I'll tell you, Unforgiven's a great movie.
Yes.
Crying Game's a great movie. Few Good Men's a great movie.
movie.
Howard's End, I don't really remember, so it's probably slow. And Scent of a Woman,
Yes, great movie. Al Pacino.
It's good. It's
So
good.
Al Pacino won Best Actor that year. Remember that?
Okay,
Scent of a
yeah,
Woman?
I
Yes.
remember he won for Scent of a Woman. Oh, and he was over the top in that movie.
Yeah,
he was
he
like
was.
Nicolas Cage playing Al
Yep.
Pacino.
And Unforgiven, also a great movie. Gene Hackman in
Yeah.
it, of course.
But Chaplin is so iconic, and Robert Downey Jr., Dan Aykroyd. There's so many stars in that movie, and showing how silent movies were made in the life of Charlie Chaplin. Well, hell, let me play a clip of it right here, and it starts off with Dan Aykroyd.
What do I do? Cut it. No, wait, hold it. No, keep it going. Big reaction. Who is this?
Overnight, he had Hollywood in his hands.
Damn you, Chaplin. What are you trying to do to me?
And the world at his feet.
The whole world knows about you, Charlie.
Let me direct the next one. But behind the screen
Charlie!
were the women who wanted him.
Is this what you want? Did you lose your other wives this way?
The scandal that surrounded him.
Don't believe everything you read in the papers. Why not?
And the passions
Still waiting for that other shot, Sid.
that inspired him.
Your message reaches everyone, everywhere, and there's no control over them.
Be careful.
Camera.
From Academy Award-winning director Richard Attenborough, Robert Downey Jr.,
He is talking about
America. It's been a problem.
You are a truly strange fellow, Charles.
everyone has a wild side, even a legend.
So yeah, Chaplin. And you see in that film that just the legend of Charlie Chaplin. Just the great things that he did, and that's going to lead us into the second film. You have anything to say about this Chaplin?
No, I haven't seen it probably since in the early '90s, and so I want to give it another watch again. What's it connected to?
Well, it's connected to Charlie Chaplin himself. Charlie Chaplin never won an Oscar until much later. And it was an honorary one.
Oh, yeah, that was in the movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, but Charlie Chaplin was so important to American cinema, even though he was from England. But he was so important to American cinema because at the time, silent films spoke to everybody. You didn't have to know our language. And all the immigrants coming over, and it was such hard times, the Great Depression, where people could afford to go to the films. And the movie I chose, one of his films was The Great Dictator, was nominated.
Yes.
But my favorite Chaplin movie is Modern Times. And Modern Times speaks to these immigrants and these people suffering through the Great Depression, talking about the rich people that run the factories and sort of like the convergence of, the people working in the factory and the rich people that are greedy. And also at this time, there's horses dominating the roads, but cars are coming out. So it's talking about all these different things that are happening at the same time, and only the comic way that only Chaplin could do it.
You want a little trivia?
Sure.
I have never seen a Charlie Chaplin film.
See, and that's why in my class, I show a clip from Modern Times, just because I always say everybody should have watched a little Chaplin.
And I probably show clips in my classes, but I've never seen an entire film.
But
I like talkies.
And another thing that Charlie Chaplin did that changed film was Dan Aykroyd plays Max Sennett, who runs the studios and is directing. And really, before Charlie Chaplin and Douglas Fairbanks, there were no stars. It was like Keystone Cops, so everybody's a Keystone Cop. So that way you sign these really long contracts, didn't get paid a whole lot. And Charlie Chaplin broke that mold because people started wanting to see Charlie Chaplin, and that little tramp, as you just saw in that clip, Robert Downey Jr. playing, became such an iconic character that Charlie Chaplin, started demanding $1 million a year. And $1 million a year back in 1936, I forget, I have it in my class, but it's a lot of money.
Yeah, people don't realize, like, Charlie Chaplin, by today's standards, he's like Tom Cruise and Steven Spielberg combined.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, the biggest star in movies.
He was a singer, a writer.
Yeah, he really controlled everything.
Yeah. So, but anyway, let's watch a clip from Modern Times.
You are looking at scenes from that film classic, Charlie Chaplin's Modern Times.
Back.
There wasn't much sound in
Section
this
5,
film.
more speed.
Charlie Chaplin. Who else but Charlie Chaplin can make us howl with laughter or move us to tears? When he's being shoved around, or even getting tough, or acting like a hero, he is, above all, profoundly human. In Modern Times, the little man makes you laugh from the first scene to the last.
Yeah, and so this film had some sound effects in it and some talking, but very little. It's still a silent film, but they kind of matched it. Sound wasn't totally synced to film yet at this time.
And tell us about the year it came out and who won the Oscar that year.
Well, this was 1936, and I mean, I can read through all these, but who the heck knows? I mean, you may know the book Tale of Two Cities.
Yeah, a lot of them are based on books there.
Yeah, Romeo and Juliet. I don't know what Dodsworth is, but The Great Ziegfeld.
Yep.
Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer film.
All right.
Won Best Picture that year.
We should probably watch that.
The Great Ziegfeld?
Yeah, maybe we'll love it, and we'll you take away your list there.
I'm not going to watch it.
All right.
Let's go to yours. Andy's number 3.
Let's do this again, okay? I'm going to play the clip first because, once again, I think it's so iconic. probably the most iconic movie of all time. I said it here in the podcast. So let's take it away.
20th Century Fox presents the most extraordinary motion picture of all time.
You hear the music?
That's what I said.
Star Wars.
Here's where the fun begins.
No legendary adventure of the past could be as exciting as this romance of the future.
Here they come.
May the Force be with you in Star Wars.
There you go. Can you guess what it was? So Star Wars. And look, probably most iconic movie of all time. Is it a great movie that should win an Oscar? Probably so. But more than that, it's a pop culture phenom that's lasted 40, 50 years. Just people knowing this. Came out in 1977, by the way, so you could do your own math. Star Wars.
Just listening to this, I just realized something because I was listening to Mark Hamill on another popular podcast recently.
Me too.
Yeah, and so you go get what I'm saying. Mark Hamill did not realize that he was going to be the star of this. He figured Harrison Ford from American Graffiti, rugged, handsome-looking guy, was going to be the star, and he was going to be the sidekick. But when because he didn't have the complete script. Yeah, so you listen to the same podcast.
Yeah, Mark Hamill, who plays Luke Skywalker, by the way.
Yeah, and so when we're listening to this clip just now, it's called it a romance. Mm-hmm. And the only romance that's happening in the first movie, are we talking about Mark Hamill and Princess Leia?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
because,
you're right.
Because spoiler alert, turn off, but they're brother and sister.
Yeah, but I guess in the first movie, they're more romantic than her and Han Solo are.
Yeah.
But it's a great movie, iconic. Like I said, when it came out, it just changed cinema, and not just maybe with making movies, which it did, but also with like merchandising, like action figures. I remember at the time I was like 6 years old, but I had probably a little C-3PO doll.
I had it all. I had a Millennium Falcon. I had an AT-AT.
Yeah, and now if we'd known then, we kept them in their packaging, right?
Yeah.
But I played with it, and, the dog chewed it and whatever. But yeah, Star Wars, as you all know, so that's now called Episode 4, A New Hope. But when it was the first one that came out, of course, they have 3 trilogies now, and it's still going on. There's the three trilogies, and there's the series.
Well, every major series has a universe now, but Star Wars changed. I mean, this is the beginning of what George Lucas. When I was talking about Jurassic Park, Star Wars is probably the beginning of all this. Besides THX's college student film, which you can go look that up. That was his first film he ever made. But anyways, Star Wars used the models and moving cameras and all this stuff to make it look like outer space and all these great things. And that's probably the beginning of the Industrial Light Magic, which brought us all the way to Jurassic Park, 2 decades later.
Yeah, and it's funny because nobody really thought this would be a big movie. George Lucas at the time wasn't a big star. He had a movie
American
before
Graffiti.
that, American Graffiti, but wasn't a big star. Of course, Mark Hamill wasn't a big star. And there's puppets in there and different characters. So no one thought it'd be a big thing when it came out, and it became this juggernaut. And when it got nominated, so it did get nominated for 10 Academy Awards. Most of them were in special effects, because that's the main thing about it, special effects. But it didn't win Best Picture. It lost to Annie Hall.
I think Annie Hall is Woody Allen's best movie, but it's not better than Star Wars.
No, it's not. But I can't knock Annie Hall winning, because Woody Allen was a Oscar darling. People loved him back then in the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Star Wars, looking back at that was the biggest movie of 1977 and of the 70s, and so yeah, that's my pick.
Now we get to my number 2, which is also Andy's number 5.
My number 5, and I could have had it higher too. It could have been 2. It could have been 1. The reason I had it 5 was because I don't know. I hate to say this because it's usually picked on lists of the top movie of all time.
But only on the list by people who make movies, though.
Exactly, yes.
Yes.
Like when I used to force my students to watch it, none of them liked it. It's a slow-moving movie.
About the newspaper industry?
Yeah, you really got to know what was before that to really appreciate what the movie did and how it was made.
And what the movie was about. I mean, the movie wasn't really about Charles Foster Kane. It was about William Randolph Hearst.
Yeah, and that name doesn't roll off anybody's tongue nowadays either with our students.
No.
Obviously, we teach them about that, the newspaper magnate, but
some history with that, with Citizen Kane, and this is what I was talking about, why this
you
one...
just gave it away.
Oh, yeah. The movie Citizen Kane. But the thing with Citizen Kane and William Randolph Hearst is William Randolph Hearst might be the reason why it did not win the Oscar. It's because William Randolph Hearst owned so many newspapers all over the country that when the movie was about to come out and he knew it was a thinly veiled version of him, which wasn't very flattering, he told the movie theater, which was a Mercury Players. That's the same thing that he did for his
Orson Welles.
Yeah, Orson Welles' War of the Worlds. But anyway, so he told distributors and everybody saying, if you put this movie out, I will destroy this movie. I will destroy you and all my newspapers. The movie still went out. So I think that had a lot to do with why it did not win Best
Yeah,
Best
a little
Picture.
context here. So this movie came out in 1941. At the time, Orson Welles, he wrote it, directed it, produced it, and starred in it, and he was 26 years old. So at the time, he wasn't that powerful, and the movie was not as iconic as it is today. But as you said, William Randolph Hearst was a huge, powerful person in the country.
Yeah.
So he had the power to really control it. It's really surprising the movie got made or was released to begin with.
But I want to show the clip, but then I want to come back to why the big reason why I chose this one is because how it changed film, how film was made after this. So here's a clip from the trailer of Citizen Kane. It starts off with the iconic word from that.
Rosebud.
If I hadn't been very rich, I might have been a really great man. I'm Charles Foster Kane!
So this obviously is from the 75th.
Let me say this. So obviously neither one of us watched this when it came out in 1941. So I probably watched this film for the first time in a college theater and film class. And, of course, because it's an iconic film. And the only thing I knew about it was that Rosebud opening line. Because this is probably one of the first movies with a surprise ending or twist ending.
And the question was, what is Rosebud?
Yeah, what is the whole movie is
starts
based
off with
on that. Which is, the movie's more than the plot, which you can get into technical stuff of it. But the plot is they're trying to find out who was Rosebud to this powerful man.
Yeah, Charles Foster Kane died, and they're putting together sort of a film reel of his whole life, and part of it is like, well, who's Rosebud? Things that it did that changed movies forever was the camera angles. He tore out floorboards just so he could shoot inside, and you saw ceilings. When you saw the dancing girls in that little clip, you saw the ceilings. They shot everything in studios before that. It's the lighting, the sound, the way that people are talking to each other. He set up some scenes. There's one iconic scene where he and his wife just got married, and they're sitting at the kitchen table next to each other. And and they're flirting, like, oh, I don't have to go to work yet. We can go back to bed, kind of thing. And it shows through time. And Orson Welles, as you said, how old was he?
26.
26. He ages through that movie. So the makeup and the way that he looks older and older throughout the whole movie. But in that scene, it shows him getting older, and it shows that him and his wife getting more and more apart, to the point where in the last scene, she's reading the competitor's newspaper, he's reading his newspaper, and they're at the opposite ends of the really long table. So just his storytelling technique, the camera angles he used, the sound, the editing, it all movies that came after it were trying to do the things that Citizen Kane did.
Yeah, Orson Welles was really a creative genius. And there are a couple of movies out there that you could watch that are the making of this. Mank from 2020, RKO 281 from 1999, because they show more of the making of it and, where they tear the floorboards out and his control to make this movie, his vision to make it.
Yeah.
It's good watching that as well.
There was a crowded field for Citizen Kane. That was back when they did 10 films like they do nowadays, too.
Who did Citizen Kane lose to?
It lost to How Green Was My Valley from 20th Century Fox, and I don't know anything else about that movie except for the name of it.
Me neither. And Citizen Kane, kind of like Pulp Fiction, it was nominated for a lot of awards, nominated for 9 awards. It won Best Screenplay, which was co-written by Orson Welles, so he did get an Oscar for it.
Yeah, well, it should have been Best Picture. Especially, and that's one of those in hindsight.
Yes.
And I think it was political also, but I think in hindsight, you say Citizen Kane, they say it's the best film ever, but it did not win Best Picture.
So now we're number ones.
To our number ones, and my number one, actually, I think it could have won Best Picture, but I'm going to go for the documentary category, simply because I think this was a huge injustice. And this film was a documentary that took 5 years to film, 250 hours of footage, which followed around 2 high school kids getting into high school and through high school and 1 year after high school playing basketball. and it's comparing their lives and seeing how their lives went. And I'm telling you, I saw this movie at a film festival years ago when it first came out, and I was left floored. I think it was 4 hours long. It was a long movie. It was only supposed to be a half-hour long film. PBS was putting it out, but the filmmakers just kept going, and it ended up being 4 hours and 5 years.
Yeah, I remember seeing it too at the time, and it was a great movie. I didn't think about putting it on my list, but
Yeah, but this one's been eating at my craw since I saw it that year, and it wasn't even nominated for a documentary. But the movie I'm talking about is Hoop Dreams, which came out in 1994. And 1994 was a big year for movies.
94 again, huh?
Yeah, it was not nominated for Academy or for Best Documentary, but it was selected by the Library of Congress to the National Film Registry as being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. The International Documentary Association ranked it as the best documentary film of all time.
All
Siskel
right.
and Ebert picked it as their best film of the year, so they would have given it the Oscar.
right.
Siskel and Ebert, if you don't know who they are, they're the ones who invented the thumbs up.
Yeah, exactly.
So yes, Hoop Dreams. It should have at least won documentary, and I think it should have been nominated, if not won. But once again, it's 1994, and you already picked the 1994 film as one of your favorites. Yeah, that we stuck a lot in this year.
Yeah, and Hoop Dreams, I don't have much to add to that, but I'm curious because I saw it like 94. I wonder, like a follow-up. Is there could be a follow-up documentary about these
I think
kids?
there is a follow-up. Like I've seen an interview with one of them. I think the other one doesn't want anything really to do with it anymore. One of them, you have to watch the film because their stories get kind of, it's not all happy.
No.
Not all happy at all because it's a true story, no happy
it's a
endings.
documentary of these kids. They follow around for a couple years,
Yes.
few years.
Here's a clip.
It begins with a game, with a basket and a ball. It becomes a journey of heartbreak and hope, from city streets to the brink of fame.
Isaiah Thomas!
The amazing story of two boys and two families struggling against the odds.
My mother, God bless her, she's always said to me, this America, you can make something of your life.
Against the system.
You have to realize you can make their team win.
To make a dream come true.
All I ever dreamed about was playing in the NBA.
And that's what it is. That's their hoop dreams, to play in the NBA. And they were both outstanding high school basketball players. At least going into high school, they were outstanding. And you see, I don't want to ruin it for you, but
When did you see it last?
it's been a while.
Like, did they play in college? I don't even put you
Oh,
on
when I
the spot.
say, I think one of them did go to a junior college and then played, and that's in the movie. That's in the movie shown the next year after junior college. But life gets in the way.
Yes.
And maybe they weren't good enough because the NBA. That's the next level. So
Yeah, I had hoop dreams too when I was in junior high.
well, because you're tall. Anybody at your height, expect
Yep.
to play basketball.
Yeah. So I was tall, and that's about it. Hey, I noticed you skipped my number 2.
Yeah, I screwed up the list on our script here.
Yeah, can we do my number 2 now?
We can do your number 2.
And then my number 1?
Your number 2 is not on my list. What is your number 2?
My number 2 came out in guess what year? 1994. The year Forrest Gump won the award.
The year Pulp Fiction did not win the
Did
award.
not win the award.
And the year Hoop Dreams did not even get nominated.
I'll give you a little more hint here to it before we do a clip.
And Clerks didn't get nominated either.
So this one was based on a short story by Stephen King. Stephen King's written so many books, and so many have turned into good movies, some bad movies. This one was a short novella. They call it 96 pages long. The novella was called Frida Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, they had to shorten that.
Yes, and they shortened it to what? Shawshank Redemption. Classic movie. If you look at IMDb.com, Internet Movie Database, it's the highest rated movie by viewers. So I trust the viewers more than
It's
critics.
just a great story.
Great story, great movie. When it comes on, I watch it. It's a great movie.
Best performances. I love both these actors, but this might be both of their best performances.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman and Tim Robbins. If you haven't seen it, I say you should go watch it. The director, I'm not really familiar with too much, Frank Darabont, who also directed The Green Mile, another Stephen King short story.
About a prison.
Also another great movie.
I think that one was nominated also.
That might have been,
The big guy
Tom
was
Hanks.
nominated for a supporting actor.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway, so yeah, Shawshank Redemption, I agree with you. every movie this year. Four Weddings and a Funeral might be the only one that I would not say deserved it, which I even like that movie.
That is a great comedy.
But anyway, here's a clip from Shawshank Redemption.
I must admit, I didn't think much of Andy first time I laid eyes on him.
What?
He had a quiet way about him. A walk and a talk that just wasn't normal around here.
There are places in the world that aren't made out of stone. There's something inside they can't touch.
What are you talking about?
Hope.
Let me tell you something.
That's what the movie's about. It's about hope.
Yeah, and I chose the movie because there's a character named Andy in it, and that is my name. So
why is Toy Story not in your top?
That is true. I should have picked Toy Story, but the person I chose for my number one movie has the name of Ryan in it. Right? In this movie, this is probably one of the ones that Oscar, people, it's listed all the time. If you Google biggest Oscar snubs, you can see this one listed all the time. And it was, I'll tell you now, it's Saving Private Ryan by Steven Spielberg. A great World War II movie. The opening scene, iconic,
It's
like
like
20 minutes of D-Day.
Yeah, and I think that's what the movie's great, and the whole thing's movie great. But that opening scene won the Oscar. It's just so realistic, and you're in there and you're watching it, and you'll see part of it in the trailer I'm about to show. But that opening scene rivals, or is even better than Stagecoach. I don't know if you remember John Ford film, where it comes in from really far away and onto the stagecoach, or even I think it's Goodfellas, where they come from across the street, go through the kitchen, all one shot. It's just these iconic openings to a movie, which are really difficult, scenes to shoot.
Yeah, and this was 1998, so in 25 years plus, it still holds up. You watch that first scene, it's amazing. And the movie doesn't let up. I guess it does slow down because the first 20 minutes just are, blow your mind. But it's a great story, and if you don't know, it's about Tom Hanks' character and his crew are sent on a mission to save a Private Ryan, played by Matt Damon. And so the movie kind of shows them going through Normandy, north of France, to try to find this Private Ryan to send him home.
Okay, and here's a clip. And this trailer, it's because the visuals are so strong. There is no talking. There is no deep voice over there saying he's going to save Ryan.
That's good. Yeah, Saving Private Ryan, just a great movie and a great supporting cast. Like, I can't name all the characters now, all the actors, but it's a great supporting cast because you have the macho military man, and you have this character who's kind of newbie, a reporter who's forced into kind of battle.
Yeah, and Matt Damon plays Private Ryan, but he's really not the star of the movie. He's the quest.
He probably comes in like an hour and a half into the movie, maybe 2 hours into the movie.
No, and there's just, you watch the movie and you'll recognize so many people in there. Giovanni Ribisi just went by on the trailer.
Ted Danson,
yeah,
who's known for his comedic sitcoms, has a great role in there. Great thing.
But this is a chance to work with Spielberg, and a lot of these people say, I want to work with Spielberg.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg. So it's a great movie. I watch it all the time. So it was nominated for 11 Oscars. It won 5. By the way, also nominated that year, Life is Beautiful is one of the top ones, which is a great foreign language film.
Yeah.
Another World War II movie about the Holocaust. Definitely check that out as well. The Thin Red Line, another great movie. Elizabeth, a historical piece, in Britain. But the one who won it all that year, which is also, we'll segue into my bottom one, Shakespeare in Love. So Shakespeare in Love.
Wait.
Yeah.
These are the worst. These are the worst.
Okay, now you can tell us about your third worst movie.
All right, and I'll say, our worst movies are not the worst movies to come out. There's tons of terrible movies out there. These are all probably pretty good movies, but they shouldn't have won Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Like, my third worst is Shakespeare in Love. Beat out Saving Private Ryan.
And Life is Beautiful. Yeah, and I think Private Ryan is a lot better movie than Shakespeare in Love. It's just epic, and it's just has so much to it. Where Shakespeare in Love, I don't know, love stories I don't think compare it to what Ryan did.
Yeah, I want to go back and rewatch it. Shakespeare in Love, it was probably a good movie, but it's not, nobody I know wants to watch Shakespeare in Love or talks about it today. If you Google this, the reason people say that it won was because of Harvey Weinstein. So Harvey Weinstein and Miramax did this big campaign, big promotion, giving the Oscar voters materials and trying to promote this as the movie of the year. And you know what? It probably worked.
Yeah.
It probably worked because, they like that. It's like swaying voters.
Lobbying. Yeah, it's just lobbying.
Yeah, they lobby them. And so, nobody out there probably thinks that Shakespeare in Love should have beat Saving Private Ryan or Life is Beautiful or Elizabeth or The Thin Red Line.
Yeah.
So that's my bottom movie of William Shakespeare finding his muse and falling
Here's
in
a
love.
clip.
Who is she? Dream on, Will.
I heard you were a poet.
I was a poet till now.
Shakespeare!
My heart belongs to you, but I will marry Wessex a week from Saturday.
Is she fertile? She will breed. If she do not, send her back.
If they find you here, they will kill you.
For one kiss, I would defy 1,000 Wessexes.
That woman is a woman!
How refreshing.
So and the stars in this, I think a lot of them had just come off winning Oscars. Like what's his? I can't even think of his name, but he won for The King's Speech. Geoffrey Rush won an Oscar.
Paltrow? I don't know if
Gwyneth Paltrow won an Oscar, and even Fiennes, he didn't win yet, but he's really well known.
Yeah, and look, this one got 13 nominations. I tell you, it's all because of Harvey Weinstein. It's my bottom three.
Yeah,
What's your number three?
I thought it was all right. And well, mine's a really popular one. I'm going to tell you, I love this movie.
This is my girlfriend's favorite movie. So,
and I think it might be one of my favorite soundtracks for a movie, mainly because Frogman Henry's on the soundtrack.
Yes.
Yes.
I think I know what it is. In this movie, I saw your list. This is an iconic movie, well loved all across America. Like you could run all across America, and people love everywhere you go. People love this.
Best
movie.
actor, best film, and it's Americana, and this film starring Tom Hanks. It's Forrest Gump. Yes, I picked Forrest Gump as one of my worst three films, and I'm going to tell you why. Because it beat out Pulp Fiction, it beat out Quiz Show, beat out Shawshank Redemption, and it beat out Hoop Dreams.
You hear that sound right now? People are changing the channel right now after you said Forrest Gump. They're like changing the channel. Can you do that on a podcast?
Well, you already argued that Pulp Fiction's a better movie than Forrest Gump because you thought it should have won.
You're right. And Shawshank.
So you're putting it at number 3 right there.
It's number 3.
And I'm saying I'm putting it at number 4. And I might maybe even with Quiz Show. I really like Robert Redford's Quiz Show.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
So that's why I'm putting this. But also with Forrest Gump, I think it won because I think there's a lot of gimmicks when they're putting him in with presidents and all these historical things.
John Lennon.
Those gimmicks sort of sold it. And it's a simplistic portrayal of really complex historical events where it just seems like it's using all of these as plot devices to move the story along. But these are really deep social issues when he's sitting there, in Washington D.C. and he's going to give that speech. Issues like the Vietnam War, civil rights movement.
Yeah, the Black Panthers he hangs out with.
Yeah, and it seems sort of oversimplified. It's good to watch, eat some popcorn, but I don't think it was deep enough or groundbreaking enough to win the Oscar over those other movies. I equate it to another movie I really like, and I'd sit there and just enjoy and turn off my mind and watch like Dumb and Dumber. I think I'm equating Forrest Gump to Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber
where
should have won Best Picture.
You're just watching some simple people, in no extraordinary circumstances, and you're kind of. We're being amused by Forrest Gump, a simple person, because of the way that he is.
You just hate America, don't you? Just say it now on the podcast to our millions of listeners.
I love America.
Forrest Gump is like Americana, everything.
It is.
He teaches Elvis how to dance.
I love this movie.
He meets
but
John Lennon.
I'm telling you, I don't think it should have won the Oscar over all these other movies. This was a very strong year. So I think that, it wasn't the strongest movie.
Should Tom Hanks won Best Actor? No, that one probably no.
No, because Shawshank, had both of them in there, which were great actors.
Like Forrest Gump is not a tough role to play.
And was it Ralph Fiennes or whatever that played in Quiz Show?
Yep.
He always wins, and how did he not win?
Yep.
He only picks movies that he knows he's going to win.
Because he's British.
Yeah, and of course, John Travolta and all them in Pulp Fiction. I don't know. They could have won in another year.
Yeah, I think one was supporting actor, one was best actor for that one. They nominated for. But yeah, Forrest Gump, you heard it. That was you, not me.
Yes, that was me, and I did equate it to Dumb and Dumber. But let's go to Andy's number 2.
My number 2 won't offend anybody out there. Okay, it is Crash. So Crash, it won the Best Picture award in 2005. And if you remember the movie, it's basically a bunch of stereotypes, people interacting with people of different races, different backgrounds, and how they interact with them. And it's just like everybody's a stereotype.
Yeah, and it's frustrating the way, and it's. I mean, Crash means a few things in this, but it is of these cultures and these different ideas and influences, you know, being slammed together.
Yeah,
you know?
and look, the movie. So that year, 2005, it beat out for top, Oscar, Brokeback Mountain, Capote, Good Night, Good Luck, another great movie about the TV industry, and Munich, a great movie about the Olympics. About the Olympics in Munich, the Jewish
Spielberg
really...
was with that one. But I thought Brokeback Mountain was the sweetheart, the darling that year. I thought Brokeback Mountain was going to win it just because of everything.
And that's the controversy. People say that Crash beat out Brokeback Mountain, and they're saying that maybe they were homophobic because it is a gay love story.
So now we're getting to my number 2.
Yes.
And my number 2, I don't think it's going to be that controversial. It was a very weak year. Let me just tell you something. There's 10 of them, but let me just tell you some of the movies that it beat. Call Me By Your Name, Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, Phantom Thread, The Post, and 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. So, I mean, I know I do like a few of those other movies, but it was a pretty weak year.
I disagree. I agree with The Shape of Water is a good bottom pick. But Call Me By Your Name is one of my favorite movies. I love Call Me By Your Name. Dunkirk, a great movie. Christopher Nolan again.
Yeah.
Get Out.
Get Out's a great movie.
Great movie.
I think it should. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't think it should have won the Oscar.
Yeah, and The Post. I think The Post probably should have won. That's a great movie.
Yes.
And when you watch it, it's about the Washington Post and the Pentagon Papers. If you watch it, it really makes you fall in love with journalism.
Now we get to Andy's number 1. I'm not going to skip any of yours this time, so we'll get to your number 1. What's your number 1 worst Oscar-winning movie?
And mine is obviously going to be a new one here because it won the award on Sunday. It is Anora. And like you, it's also uncomfortable. So the movie is about a character named Anora who is a stripper, also a sex worker. So like the first 30 minutes of the movie is just her having sex and being naked and doing drugs and drinking.
That's called plot exposition.
Yeah, and so the actress who got it won the Best Actress award, and I felt bad in a certain level from like a film perspective that these actresses still have to play these roles. You know,
and I didn't see the movie, and well, let's talk about some of them that it beat. You know, and I only saw a few of them this year. I usually see a lot of movies, but I only saw like 2 of them.
And I would say this is a weak year. But I didn't see them all, so I can't really say that. But it beat out The Brutalist, which I did not like. Complete Unknown about Bob Dylan, which I really liked.
I've heard lots of good things about that one.
That one. You said Dune Part 2. You saw Conclave. You saw.
I saw Conclave. I liked Conclave a lot.
Dune Part 2.
Dune Part 2 is Dune Part 2. I mean, it was good.
All right. Emilia Perez. I didn't see it.
I don't know what that is.
It's on Netflix.
I'm Still Here.
I'm Still Here. Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked, which was the big blockbuster movie of the year. Yeah, so go ahead and watch it and let me know what you think.
Okay, so that was your worst
My
winner.
worst movie. Well, what's yours? What's worse than Forrest Gump to you?
What's worse than Forrest Gump or The Shape of Water? My number 1 worst movie is Titanic.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yes, Titanic. Titanic beat out As Good as It Gets, which is a great movie.
Great movie.
The Full Monty, which I really enjoyed, maybe not big enough. Good Will Hunting, which did win Oscars for Ben Affleck and Matt Damon for their screenwriting, and L.A. Confidential, which was a noir movie, which I really liked L.A. Confidential too.
And that is a solid year, yes.
Yeah, it's a very solid year, and I just don't think Titanic was really strong. I saw it the first time I saw it. Maybe I liked it, but it just seemed long. It goes on and on. It's overly sentimental. I think, Jack's just a weak character. They don't give a whole lot of background on Jack. He's pretty, one-dimensional character.
I mean, let's be honest. Titanic is popular kind of, because of the special effects with, James Cameron, what he did with the movie.
Yeah, it's a spectacle and led people to ignore the thin storyline, that James Cameron's known for. So it spent 15 weeks at number 1, which the only movie that spent more weeks at number 1 than Titanic was E.T. It spent 16 weeks. And when Titanic finally left the number 1 spot, the movie that knocked it out, you know what it was?
Nope.
It was The Man in Iron Mask, starring
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio, and for 1 week it was number one. Then Titanic was number one again.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio had a big run.
Yeah, that was a big year for him. But James Cameron made that, and he made so much money that he can make a movie about anything he wants to. He can have a bowel movement, and they would finance it if he wanted to make a movie about it. And I think he did, because that's what Avatar is.
Yeah, Avatar is the highest gross movie of all time for a long time. Avatar. I mean, I do have students who like that movie. I'm surprised.
And not to get too much into Avatar, but Avatar did do some technical things that were never done before.
Yeah.
But I just don't like the movie that much.
But I'm like you. When Titanic came out, like I loved it in the theater. Probably watched it a couple times, like everybody else did. And I probably watched it once when my son was growing up to show him that, but I haven't seen it since then. Because like you said, it's a long movie.
So long.
You know how it goes. You know how it ends. So you don't want to watch it again.
And it's a romantic movie, but you know the ship's gonna go down. Sorry, spoilers.
Well, it's funny they call it a romantic movie, where it's like she meets this guy in like 2 days, she's willing to die for him.
Yeah. Oh, he's willing to die for her. You
she
get on the
leaves
door.
her fiance and cheats on her fiance with him, and then they're gonna die together. Well,
it's a whirlwind romance.
Yeah, but she wouldn't let him stay in the door with her.
Well, that's our top and bottoms for this week, and I gave Andy a few ideas for next week, so I'm gonna put you on the spot right now. What you want to do for next week?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know. It's gonna be good. Keep people in suspense, or you got to tease them.
No, I gotta tease them. Gotta bring it back.
I didn't look.
So holidays.
Our favorite and least favorite holidays, and this because right now we're in holiday season. We got
we're between
Easter, St. Patrick's Day, Valentine's Day, Mardi Gras.
Yeah, we have a lot of things going on right now, so maybe holidays is a good one.
Holidays. Let's do it. Our favorite and least favorite holidays.
Your favorite's Arbor Day, isn't it?
I don't want to give it away. You gotta stay tuned for next week.
Oh,
it's
man.
probably top 5.
We're taking bets.
I love trees. You don't like trees?
What's that? It's not my favorite.
Knowing you're gonna put Arbor Day and like Christmas in your bottom 3. Christmas is over commercialized for you.
Knowing you? No, I thought you say knowing me. I'm going to put 4th of July because you already think I'm anti-American.
That's right.
So join us next week. This is Lance and
this is Andy.
And for the Lance and Andy, the top and bottom list podcast thing, showy thing. But thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
All right, play us out.
That's it for this week. The top and bottom list by Lance and Andy. Full episodes here on Spotify. Thank you, like and subscribe. Please check out our website